House with Paul Rosen.
Our diets, our Western diets in America are just really, you just don't realize how poor they really are.
What would you say to others who would like to feel better?
Sometimes you need to find the instruction. That's where the testing and everything comes in, because without that knowledge, there's no way I could have got to the point where I'm at today.
Straight talk about health.
And then I start preaching and telling them what I've been doing. And this guy named Paul Rosen has changed my life.
With your host, Paul Rosen.
By the way, the information contained in this program is not approved by the FDA, nor intended to treat, diagnose, or claim to cure any medical condition or disease as defined by Western medicine. However, skilled practitioners of many disciplines have found nutrition response testing to be a highly reliable supportive technology for assessing the health and fitness of the body's functional system.
All right, Paul Rosen, I'm a little bit skeptical about this, but tell us about how the shape of our foods, the physical shape the food takes, may determine whether or not that food is healthy.
Well, I was describing how walnuts became associated with brain food. In the traditions, the ancient traditions of the Chinese medicine and Ayurveda, the various forms out in nature were associated, and their health consequences were associated with what things looked like and how they related to the various appearance of organs and glands within the body.
So the shape
they were
of the
thinking
food,
that lookalikes might have similar functions.
the shape of the food could have an impact, they believed, on particular organs based on the shape of the organ.
And when you crack open a walnut, what does it look like?
It looks like a brain.
It looks like a brain. And as it turns out, there is some energetic association with brain function.
There
it's
are
cool.
so many jokes here that I'm just...
It is very funny.
I'm just not going to go there.
It is very funny. Nature is very funny like that.
It is. So that was a belief, but, it's kind of an old wives' tale that turned out to be true, maybe not for the reasons they believed. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we got there regardless.
Also red meat, of course, which is pasture-raised, no GMOs, no antibiotics, et cetera, as usual.
And that's a good health food.
Yep, for the brain. We're talking moderate consumption. We're not talking about sitting down and eating a 16-ounce steak. Right? 2-3 ounces at a sitting, tops.
That's a relatively small amount.
It is.
And part of the reason for that...
But it's probably 4 times what the body actually needs in terms of protein on a daily basis.
Also fat?
And lots of high-quality fat. Yeah, that's the other good brain, necessary brain food.
In general, do the brain foods that you're mentioning include a certain amount of fat?
Yes, you betcha. Butter, we talked about that, right? Organic butters from raw milk when possible. We're talking, especially grass-fed, we're talking olives, we're talking olive oil, we're talking coconut oil, we're talking sesame oil, we're talking peanut oil. Lots of nuts as well. We talked walnuts, pecans, and for some macadamians. Some people don't jive with macadamians too well. At least that's been my experience in the clinic. Free-range eggs, but pasture-raised eggs. It'll say pasture-raised right on the label. Alaskan salmon, free wild, and avocados are all great sources of high-quality brain fat.
And these foods are not good just for our brains. There are bonus.
Of course. But, because everything is connected to everything else. What's really happened here is the recognition over time that the reductionist approach to the body and the body's functioning, systems, it misses the boat. Reductionism is the way in which parsing the body out and isolating various organs and glands and so forth. The liver does this, the kidneys do that, the brain does this, the heart does that. Turns out it misses by miles the interaction amongst all organs and glands. There are many, many more functions than reductionism could possibly reveal. And so that's this whole microbiome thing, right? Who would have imagined that all this microbiota, all these microorganisms in our bodies. We're connected to so many other aspects of human function.
That's an excellent point. I do think we think in terms of individual organ function, liver health, heart health, those kinds of things, but we certainly don't generally think about bacteria as being something that's essential for good health. And the word bacteria itself has kind of an icky sound to it. When we hear bacteria, we think it's bad. But as we've learned, there are good bacteria, and probiotics are a means of maintaining the good bacteria we need in our bodies.
And it's not just that they're good, it's that they're essential. Without them, not only do you suffer from ill health, but you die. You can't not have health. So, yes. So the whole antibiotic, the whole germ theory, which was promoted by Louis Pasteur way back when, is really turning out to be an oversimplification and missing, not descriptive of tons and tons of extremely important information, right? Not all bacteria are bad bacteria. And yet, there's very little way for an antibiotic to differentiate between good and bad bacteria. So it just takes the whole lot, which is why we are finding not only are the bacteria becoming resistant, right? The disease-causing bacteria becoming resistant to the antibiotics, but it's also disrupting our microbiome, which in turn, again, disrupts every other function of the body.
That's an aspect of microbiotics, or I should say of the issue that you were speaking of that I wasn't aware. You know, if you're taking antibiotics, of course you're trying to get rid of something, but in the process of getting rid of the bad things, the antibiotics are also destroying the good bacteria.
And taking antibiotics as a preventative is just plain stupid. It's just stupid. Because your immune system as a whole, right, is highly dependent on the health of your gut. And taking a preventative antibiotic is destroying the foundation of your immune system. How could that be useful? So preventative antibiotic use is insane.
Yeah, I can see that based on the way you've explained it. I wouldn't be too harsh on some consumers, though, who feel they're acting, in a proactive manner, trying to get ahead of something, so they're taking these antibiotics without understanding that they could be destroying these good bacteria and therefore doing themselves much more harm than good.
My point is not to indict the consumer. My point is to wake them up. How could you indict somebody for being preventative with respect to their health? Right? That's
I think we
ridiculous.
Agree. We agree
but my
on
point is that utilizing antibiotics as a preventative is insane. It's totally contrary to the reality of how the body actually works.
That's also past my experience, Paul. I don't know anybody personally who tells me that. They'll take antibiotics when they have the flu, for example, or a cold.
Which is totally crazy, because antibiotics are for bacteria, not for viruses.
Yeah, and
which is what a flu is.
There you go.
So if you're taking an antibiotic because you have the flu, the point of doing that is to take it preventatively, and that's crazy.
Yeah, that's my point. They're not in a healthy state saying, I'm going to take these antibiotics so I won't get sick.
I can't tell you how many dentists are on board with the notion of taking preventative antibiotics during dental procedures. It's crazy. It's totally crazy.
I'm not sure how that is supposed to improve the procedure.
It's preventative. You're stirring up the bacteria in your mouth.
So the antibiotics, in theory,
it's common as dirt.
Okay.
Common as dirt.
Really?
Absolutely.
Wasn't aware.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I've been to the dentist recently, and he wasn't recommending that, so I guess that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
So I think we've determined that probiotics are generally a good thing, right? In the form of fermented foods, for example.
In the form of fermented foods, definitely.
Okay, and also
other supplemental probiotics require some testing, and we use the muscle testing to determine their use or non-use, because there are lots of different products out there, and not all products are created equal. So if you just go out there, you say, oh, Paul Rosen says probiotics are good, I'm going to go to Walmart or I'm going to go to my pharmacy or whatever and get the probiotic there. It may not be useful for you.
Paul also indicates that you should not get the probiotic face mask to prevent aging, and also the probiotic mattress, which should help you sleep better. No, those things are
I don't know anything
recommended.
about those things. I can't say.
Well, they are products on the market.
I am just not surprised, but sort of like, what?
One more note, you can get a free chapter of Paul Rosen's book, The Missing Piece. Just go to his website, acunatural.com, acunatural.com, and fill out the dialog box that pops up. Rest assured, no information you provide will ever be shared with anyone else. So, what are you waiting for? Get going on your personal road to wellness today.